So this week I decided with the performer that we would start with some line practice, and I got the performer to read through his lines and his monologues.
Yeah, so whenever you're ready, as I say, run through your Taming of the Shrew monologue.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. I've always been attracted to wild things. When I was a boy, my dad used to take me to see this falcon that flew around the lake. He used to admire its freedom, watch him soaring through the clouds, going wherever he wished. I wanted to hold it. I wanted to trace its wings, feel its feathers beneath my fingers. What's the point in seeing something so beautiful if you can't hold it? One afternoon, I went out to the lake by myself. I'd spent a week putting together a homemade trap, so I went out and I placed it at the end of the lake. I snuck back out there at night. My breath was raspy with excitement at the thought of her being there, and there she was, fighting against the constraints of the cage. I took her home and I kept her in a cage at the end of my bed. I didn't feed her, but I would stay awake all night and shake her cage so she couldn't sleep. After a few days, she was weak. I let her out and she could barely stand. Finally, she took some meat from my hands. She was tamed. She knew I'd saved her. I tamed her. Obviously, then I had to take her back to the lake. Let it go. I didn't go back to the lake. I didn't see it again. But I never forget it. I guess the feelings never left me. People always tell me, if you want something, you go out and you get it. You own it. The car, the house, the job. You have to go out and get what you want.
Skype worked really well for this. However, I feel that when the performer knows his monologue more and starts to add more movement to it, that Skype may become a little bit of an issue, as I don't think I'll be able to see all of the movement needed. However, next I decided to give the performer some feedback on how he did.
It was really good. Okay, so what I suggest is, like what we spoke about the other day about it, at the end it turns to like it, and he kind of like dehumanizes a bit towards the end. I'd work on that getting a bit more aggressive maybe.
Okay.
And him like more clearly in the tone of his voice getting a bit more annoyed at the fact that he had to let it go and that he couldn't keep it.
This week I also decided to focus on Romeo and Juliet. I decided to discuss the performer's research in order for him to develop his own thoughts and feelings on the character, to strengthen his characterisation and hopefully strengthen the meaning of the piece.
So obviously a few weeks ago I asked you to do some research, your own research on Romeo and Juliet, to kind of come back to me and tell me what you thought and what you found out. So how did that go? What did you find out? What did you feel about him as a person, as a character?
Okay, well, as a character, well, he's definitely somebody who sort of lets feelings and emotions sort of cloud his judgment a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, he definitely didn't look at the bigger picture. At the same time, like, it did feel like he was this kind of brave knight rescuing the damsel in distress, and it's all just kind of narrow-sighted, I thought, and just very let's just get to the end goal here, and forsake sort of all circumstances, I guess.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, like, I find him a very blind character.
At this point, I really felt the performer was getting to the heart of the matter, so I decided to add to the discussion with some leading questions in order to explore the theme of youth and naivety some more.
Yeah, you find him like quite naive, maybe?
Yeah, no, definitely naive, and like hot-headed, and just arrogant as well, a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like
he knew the consequences, but went ahead anyway.
Yeah, like, it was one of those. I know, there's rules here, but sod the rules.
Yeah.
Let's just get what I want.
This was positive, as I felt the performer understood the fast, passionate pace of the relationship that Romeo and Juliet had, which is crucial to the theme and meaning of the piece. Therefore, I decided next to ask the performer how we would show this on stage.
So how do you think, like, in your physicality you could bring that out? Because obviously we're going to be using mask.
Yeah.
So how do you think you could bring that out?
Well, I mean, I could definitely sort of portray, like I would base it sort of like, you know how when birds are doing their courting ritual and they kind of puff their chest out a lot.
Yeah.
And like that sort of arrogance, and like I would definitely kind of take on this alpha male sort of physical aspect, and sort of use sort of the mating animal ritual traits and such, and kind of go really sort of stubborn and arrogant and proud and just very demanding, and just definitely lead with my chest a lot.
This was again a positive step, so I assured the performer that this was something that we could look at in future rehearsals.
Yeah. Okay, that's definitely something we can look at in like physical rehearsals and stuff then, like kind of lead in from different places and different parts of the body. I think that's really good.
I also took the time in this rehearsal to explain and feed back to the performer how well we've done so far and what we can work on next.
So just some feedback for Taming of the Shrew. Like, we've worked quite hard now on the physical theatre parts of it. So yeah, some feedback on that. So I think what we've got is really, really strong at the moment. I think now that we've got the movements down, we just need to work on like putting the emotion in there now, and I think that's gonna change and add to the movement a lot.
Yeah.
So I think, now that we know it, we can put the emotion and we can see how that changes it, like things might become more intense.
I also decided to give the performer some more individual feedback for the specific things he'd worked on in order to fully inform him of his own progress.
On the last piece that you did, the floor piece, that really started to come through and that looked really, really nice. So I think we just kind of take that and run with that, really.
Right, okay.
Okay.
I then decided to try and develop ideas with the performer about how to make the piece stronger. This would help give him ownership of the piece as well as me.
So I was thinking about like some of the like things that we could add to Taming of the Shrew from like our improvisations. And I really, really like the idea that we had with the boxes about putting like certain things in there. So did you have any ideas of what you could put in there, like in the boxes for any kind of movement thing?
Right, okay. So, I mean, building the ideal man makes me think of real traditional sort of objects and, just things that are associated with masculinity.
Yeah.
And the first things that come to mind for me tend to be things like shavers and sort of shaving brushes and such.
Yeah, that's quite nice.
Beard combs.
Yeah.
The idea session was productive, providing various ideas for props that we could use to aid meaning.